Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Chayam Mudirayat Nasya Prayesha Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhakta Bhavati Nashtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashatade Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Go Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Just close the door, all the doors inside. All right. Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone for today morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading from 4th canto, and today we're going to start from the 20th chapter. So, Prabhupada printed 4th canto into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. And in this, we have around 31 chapters. If you want to have a quick overview, if you have the hard copy with you, you can just go through the pictures. You'll get an idea of what's there in this around 11 chapters. 31, right? Yeah. Will not have the capacity to show pictures online, correct? So, it begins with Lord Vishnu appearing at the place of sacrifice where Prithu was performing sacrifice. Along with him accompanies Indra. So there's a beautiful photo, if you see here. Indra is going down on his feet. Focus on that. Okay, if not, yeah, now you got it. Indra is going down and Prithu Maharaj is quickly catching up hold of him to forgive him and to embrace him. Then Prithu Maharaj comes back, and as you remember from the poets and the Brahmanas who were describing about the future activities of Prithu Maharaj, they said in the future you're going to meet the 4 Kumaras. So there's a beautiful picture of Prithu Maharaj washing the feet of 4 beautiful kids, but they are the ancient living entities, the 4 Kumaras. And then Prithu Maharaj and his wife return back home, back to Godhead. And then we have a beautiful section on Lord Shiva instructing the Prachetas. So that all is there, and Prachari Bhari's story and many other things. And to do, being pleased by Prithu Maharaj's surrender and obedience to Brahma, Lord Vishnu appears. And Lord Vishnu will appear here along with Indradev. This is a very beautiful section which clarifies actually what pleases Vishnu. And Vishnu begins to speak to Indra, to Prithu Maharaj. And he says, very interesting things will be mentioned here. He will tell Prithu Maharaj, there's all kind of yagyas, like Ashwamedha yagya that you are doing, or all kind of sacrifices. Yes, Bhoktaram Yedatapasam Sarvalokam Maheshwaram, correct. It is meant for the pleasure of Vishnu. But these all things are more ritualistic activities. Just like a pujari offering worship to the deities, However, he is simultaneously offending assembled Vaishnavas or other Vaishnavas. Would Lord accept his service? Would not accept his. So what becomes, although the deity worship is the highest activity that we can engage in, but it becomes ritualistic because his conduct, his behavior, and his character is not good. So here Lord Krishna or Vishnu will focus on Prithu Maharaj, what pleases me most is not this all different kinds of yagyas and everything. What pleases me most is the quality of character of my devotees. And like that, the beautiful discussion which clarifies in our devotional service what should be our focus. We might be doing our services, we might be doing some big services, but if our conduct, character is not good, Vishnu would not be pleased at all, because that is the only thing that pleases Vishnu. What is our character? What is our conduct? What is our attitude with other Vaishnavas? Beautiful instructions. Let's take a look at it. Text number 1. Maitriyavacha Bhagavan api vaikuntaha Sakam Bhagavata Vibhu Yagne Yaknapatisthtushto Yagnabhuktam Abhasata. The sound is not natural. Yeah, give me high frequency. The high frequency is bass, I believe. So give me low frequency, increase the low frequency. Hare Krishna. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued. My dear Vidura, being very much satisfied by the performance of 99 heart sacrifices, the Supreme Lord Vishnu appeared on the scene, and along with him was Indra. And then Lord Vishnu began to speak. Text number 2 to text number 16, very vital instructions from the Lord. I like to give a title to each of it. I do it just so that we can memorize. If we can memorize, then we can recall. And if we can recall, then when you need those instructions, then you can find it handy. Those who are good in memorizing shlokas, they can memorize shlokas, or else they can memorize the one-liners. So I generally go with one-liner. I'll share with all of you. So this section is as important as you find Bhagavad Gita. Krishna instructing Arjuna, and here Vishnu instructing Prithu Maharaj. So pay attention. Text number 2. I may not read all the shlokas, but some. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Eshate Kashit Bhangam Hayamedha Shatasya Shamapayeta Atmanam Amushya Shantamarhasi. So this was Krishna speaking about the importance or the art of divine forgiveness. That's the title. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, said, My dear King Prithu, Indra, the King of Heaven, has disturbed your execution of 100 sacrifices. Now he has come with me to be forgiven by you. Therefore, excuse him. Forgiveness. Any thoughts on the topic of forgiveness, the importance of forgiveness? We'll take this section. I particularly want to emphasize this section, the instructions. There will be aligning with what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So for those of you who already have a background, you'll be able to capture it quickly. So today I like to see this instruction in the context of our 3 aspects: personal life, our professional life, and our spiritual life. Because this is where I get the maximum portion. How do I see the harmony of it in my personal life, which means my relationship with my family members and my own personal growth. Second, in my office life, work life. And third, in my spiritual life. Again, for my spiritual well-being and in context of Vaishnava relationship. So the topic of forgiveness. Any thoughts on reflection? What is the importance of it? Forgiveness. How would it help me in all 3 aspects? Lord is saying, Prithu Maharaj, now Indra has come with me to be forgiven by you. Therefore, excuse him. I believe I have done some sessions in the past on the topic of forgiveness. To quickly summarize here the importance of forgiveness. If we want to move forward, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in Jaiva Dharma, if you want to move forward in your life, and he gives an analogy of walking the stairs. If you want to climb up, you can only climb up when you lift your feet from the previous step and put it on the next step, which means you have to let go of the past. This particular analogy is in different several contexts. I'm bringing in the context of forgiveness. If we cannot let go of our past grudges, we cannot grow in our personal well-being as well as in our relationship. If we take it in the context of personal life, in our family relationship, is without a doubt so many conflicts happen within the family members and within the extended family members. मेरी चाची ने ये कह दिया, मेरे ताऊ ने ये कह दिया, मामा ने ये कर दिया. Is that a fact or not, family people? You'll have a more close experience of this. You know, within our family life itself, husband, wife, in-laws, and whatnot. So Vishnu says, just let go. You know, of course, here Indra have come to ask for forgiveness. Even if there is a case, the person is not asking for forgiveness, then still the instruction is valid. Of course, we need to be alert, we need to be careful not to trust that person, but we have to let go, or we have to practice forgiveness for our own growth. Otherwise, grudges kill us. If you look back into history, if I have to ask you, remember, some important events in terms of relationship with others. So you might recall, a maximum of it would be those incidents when you had, hurt feeling more than the good experiences. Yes or no? The hurt feelings do not go away so easily. If I ask you from the past, immediately the first few thoughts or first few relationships that will come to your mind is with somebody who hurted you, or your false ego was hurt and whatnot. So here, Lord Vishnu says, let go. In the context of spiritual life, forgiveness, it purifies the heart. As I said, it removes the obstacles from our devotional life. And for a sadhaka, we grow when we forgive. We do not grow by punishing others or taking revenge from others. That's the point here. So true spiritual advancement is measured not by our ability to offend or punish, but our capacity to forgive. That's the first thing. That's been briefly touched upon here, but this is a very important pastime if you want to reflect on the topic of forgiveness, where Lord Vishnu himself comes and asks, forgive. Text number 3. So now we'll read the translations. O King, one who is advanced in intelligence and eager to perform welfare activities for others, is considered best amongst human beings. An advanced human being is never malicious to others. Those with advanced intelligence are always conscious that this material body is different from the soul. So, a couple of things Vishnu is mentioning here. First of all, those who are spiritually advanced, or those who are mature or broad minded, they do not have hatred towards others. Yudhishthira in the first canto has been called, has been addressed as Ajat Shatru. He did not have enemy. And what could be the example? In what context? He fought the battle of Kurukshetra. How can we say Ajat Shatru? How he was Ajat Shatru? Yes?
When Gandharvas attacked the camp of
Okay. What else? That is still as the duty of Kshatriya. Ajat Shatru.
It means that he considered no one as his enemy.
Okay, what is an example of it?
Like Duryodhana, he was always so,
But still, he fought the battle. But he still fought the battle. You're correct. You're correct in that.
Mentioning, when it was time to save Duryodhana, he said,
That's the duty of. That can be seen also from the point of view of Kshatriya. Somebody surrenders to Kshatriya. Kshatriya would not say no. The pious kings and all that. That's a matter of duty and matter of honor.
His purpose of fighting the battle was not.
Correct. That because of Prabhupada's purpose. That society doesn't know. I'm asking what is the evidence that anyone can see? And the evidence is the major culprit of the war was Dhritarashtra. And yet he cared for. This to even common man can see, isn't it? Ajatashatru. He cared for him. So much so he cried when Dhritarashtra left. That's the height of it, which is even a common man can see. You may have understanding, misunderstanding why the Yudhishthira fought or not fought, but whatever. Eventually the reason was killed. Here in the context, Dhritarashtra, he served Dhritarashtra. So Ajatashatru. So anyways, coming back to this text number 3. So advanced human being is never malicious to others. What is the application of it? So in the context of our devotional life, let's focus. I'm not going to go into personal life or professional life for this. Let's focus on the context of spiritual life. It may just so happen, whatever it is, we are under the modes of matter nature. Our bhakti is also greatly influenced by the prominent mode we are in. The mode we function is more or less characterized by our growth, our upbringing, our social upbringing, our past life and whatnot. And based on that, we have been carrying one particular mode of consciousness to be the prominent. We come into the path of bhakti, it's not that it changes overnight. It takes a lot of strict discipline and practice to really evolve. So here, first thing, if you want to memorize instruction, the very first instruction, first is learn the art of forgiveness. Second is learn the art of transcending bodily consciousness. That is what Krishna is saying. So what it means is, in a practical application, in the course of our devotional service, in a course of our community, in a course of our coming together, there would always be some people who you will not be able to align. Because Tamaguni person cannot align with the Sataguni person. Yes or no? Similarly, Sataguni person cannot go well with Sataguni person. So my question to all of you is, do you all agree when you come together, there are certain people who you are very comfortable with, and there are certain people, means devotees, you're not much comfortable. And the person who you're not much comfortable, the very same person is very comfortable with somebody else. It's not that that person is only villain or culprit. You may not like him or her, but that same person is a very good friend of another devotee. How many of you notice? Do you agree with this? So then how do you function in a community? How do you actually grow yourself? That's the whole idea. Transcending bodily consciousness. So an advanced human being is never malicious. So in practical context, I may not align well with that person's or that devotee's functioning. Maybe it's difficult for us to function together. But I will not stop speaking to that person. Somebody had asked me a question, I believe last night or somewhere. So I told him, I said, last night in our question answer session last evening, I told this individual, he was a brahmachari, I said, you don't have to close your doors. If in case you're not much comfortable, so maybe you don't have to approach them. But don't close your doors so that they also cannot approach you. If you imagine within the community, you will create such kind of situation. How we are better than the karmis? That's what happens outside in college life, in professional life. If you don't like somebody, you close your door to him. In Vaishnava community, we should not do like this. All right, you may not much mingle with him, interact with him, but at least if that person approaches you, you should be able to give your time and attention. We should not close our doors. So that's the idea of an advanced human being is never malicious to others. Otherwise, if you close your door, you're acting on the platform of grudge. So those with advanced intelligence are always conscious that this material body is different from the soul. So the whole premise of Krishna's instruction, or Vishnu's instruction here is, the body was spiritual. So here, seeing the conflict between Prathu and Indra, Lord Vishnu is going to bring the perspective. If you see it from the spiritual discipline, the conflict does not exist only. It is a creation of your mind. And this is where I like this particular subject matter. It's a beautiful subject matter. So, text number 3, Vishnu is asking to transcend bodily consciousness. Aham mamiti, I and mine. That's the idea. I like this, I dislike this. Prabhupada gives a beautiful purport and he says, just like in the daily life, you see, if a madman has to commit a crime, even he is excused by a high court judge. So who Prabhupada is calling a madman here? The one who is influenced by the modes of matter nature. So Prathu Maharaj, you are spiritually advanced. And certainly who is not spiritually advanced? The fellow who is coming along with me. So you should, being advanced, Forgive the less advanced, the madman. So that's the way certainly being said here. All right. Text number 4. So I clarified this. So the goal of our vision should be from the point of view of soul. All right. Text number 4. So maybe I'll give you the title first and then we'll discuss. So those of you who have come late, these are very vital instructions as much as Bhagavad Gita's instruction. And we are discussing the applicability of this instruction in our personal, professional, and spiritual life for our overall well-being. So how do you memorize this? I'm giving you one-liner for each instruction. So first instruction, cultivate the art of forgiveness. Second instruction, transcend bodily consciousness. Now the third instruction, text number 4, the dangers of material contamination. Vishnu speaks. If a personality like you was so much advanced because of executing the instructions of the previous acharyas, is carried away by the influence of my material energy, then all your advancement may be considered simply a waste of time. We discussed yesterday about also dangers of material contamination. If Indra can get affected, then what is about us? And same thing Vishnu is saying, Prithu Maharaj, you are known for following the instructions of predecessor acharyas. If you can get influenced by anger and I and mine concept, so what was the purpose of yajna? That's what Brahma said. The purpose of yajna has been fulfilled long ago. Why are you continuing? Okay, now you may say, I want to continue and do it because I want to please Vishnu. Now, Prithu, you ask yourself, what will please Vishnu more? Let go of the 100 yajna or kill Indra? A devotee. Is that too difficult to understand? Kill a devotee would please Vishnu? Or let go of what you are aiming at, isn't it? So that's how the thing is going on over here. So, dangers of material contamination. So, practical lesson is even advanced practitioners must remain vigilant against the influence of Maya. Vishnu is warning Prathuma, seems like you're getting distracted by it. So, what is an application of it in a personal life? So, in personal life, we'll have ups and downs, health issues, family requirements and whatnot. So, to meet or to face the dangers of Maya, we have to be determined, at least try to be, to maintain our spiritual standards and discipline, regardless of how bumpy my life becomes. This is like a season for for getting sick, for health issues and whatnot. So somehow that we need to still prioritize. We have to see what we can do, in what best way. Maybe, we're not able to get good sleep. Maybe we are taking medicines. Then take out some time where we can peacefully sit and chant at least. Something we have to maintain our spiritual discipline. I mean, can you imagine having not even this much? Forget about having control on mind. If you don't even have this much control on the body, we sleep hours together during the daytime. Then our excuse for not waking up next morning is because I slept late, because I slept so many hours in the afternoon. I mean, if you are so much rooted in bodily consciousness, isn't this pure tamoguna? This is, if somebody cannot even control this much body or bodily need, you're already doomed. What are you doing? You are in the core of the tamoguna, and what capacity you can now function with your mind. So the first aspect is life is always going to be tricky. There are always going to be some issues. You can have some family crisis, some late night call with family and whatnot. You get so agitated and disturbed. How will it work out? And what capacity you'll make decisions and all that. So whatever happens, we have to maintain our spiritual discipline and spiritual practices. In the spiritual life, how do we counteract the dangers of Maya? We have to hear Bhagavatam daily. So, for example, let's say somebody is having health issues and has not come up for, let's say, morning program. For God's sake, can you even be this much sincere that at least you can take your time out during the day because you missed your Bhagavatam class. Now you cope up and hear Prabhupada's lecture at least. First of all, your health is down, because of which your sadhana is down, because of which you are anyways mentally crazy. Everyone is crazy in this world. Now, during the daytime, when you can take out time to at least hear, you don't want to do that. We still want to continue with our conditional life, talking, wasting time here and there and whatnot. So some of you might have seen when my health is not good, or when if in case I have not done my morning program, I don't even come out whole day. I will tell Anand, bring the prasadam there. Because the moment I step out, then conversation begins. And the moment you're out in the world, the conversation begins. Then you can't do anything. So something you have to do to protect yourself. Or else I'll do certain minimum number of rounds. Only then I will step out because I know rest of the day is very busy for me. I'll not get a time to chant. At least let me finish before I step out. Like yesterday happened, I did not take my breakfast until noon or something. And right after that, I went out, kind of a thing. I said, let me finish my certain number of rounds because I'll have a long day. Something you have to plan for yourself. You just cannot live so, oh, health is gone, TK, I'll do this, I'll do that. What are you taking care for your spiritual life? Okay, maybe physical health is not in our control, but spiritual health you can control for yourself. You can decide something. So that's the point about this text number 4, dangers of material contamination. We have to be always conscious. We are already contaminated. On top of it, we're not following any. So particularly those days when we are sick, our sadhana needs to be more stronger. You can't do anything with your mind. Don't get involved in management. You will only create crisis because your mind is too low, on the spiritual content. So when you're physically low, our spiritual sadhana should be much. But how many of us really do that? I often see even our brahmacharis, some do very nice, some are totally reckless. Just waste them. Some of them are really living their life as a college life. We are in a hostel. Our father is providing for our roti kapda makan, and I'm a total reckless boy. Nothing doing, no responsible conduct. How long would you last? Think about it. How long would it run? It won't work for a while. It's a matter of time. You yourself will run away. Text number 5. Now Vishnu says, the title, the instruction here is become freed from bodily addiction. Text number. This is again same thing what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Those who are in full knowledge of the bodily conception of life, who knows that this body is composed of these shines, desires, and activities resulting from illusion, do not become addicted to body. Now, what it means by becoming addicted to body? Any reflection? We all quote na jayate mriyate va kadachan. That's the basic set of instruction. We all have memorized it. What in a practical life it means? Not giving into bodily addiction. Health is not good. We are supposed to eat simple, yet our tongue is restless. We still eat, Once in a while is okay if you've been having a prolonged health issue. Okay, once in a while, just to a little bit gratify the tongue, balance it off. Maybe stomach is not good, still I'm gonna eat it, to the end of the capacity before it cannot even enter. There could be many things like that. So this is all indication. The way we live our life, it gives a very clear indication how much you are living on a bodily consciousness. So if you know we are not the body but spiritual, if you know it is a soul which is nourishing and protecting the body, as long as the soul is there, can you be dead? Is there something that can kill you as long as the soul is there? Agar ek din nahi khaya, what is a big deal? If you're not sick, if you're not feeling well, if you just eat a little bit, what's going to happen? We all have practiced, Nirjala Ekadashi. We all are used to it. Why do we give so much to body demands? So that's the idea. So bodily addiction is of two things. When Vishnu mentions here, who knows that his body is composed of these signs, which means what is this? His body is made of ignorance. There is nothing. So body is composed of these signs, desires and activities resulting from illusion. So freedom from bodily addiction refers to both gross and subtle. So desires and activities resulting from illusion. Desire is a function of mind. Of course, the origin is soul, but it manifests through the mind. So bodily addiction, which means freedom from both bodily demands and mental desires. That's the point here. So, hey Prathu Maharaj. So why he's telling Prathu Maharaj for that? Because he's attached to the idea of performing 100th yagya. And Prathu Maharaj thinks if I perform 100th yagya, XYZ, those benefits are not mentioned what Prathu is thinking, but they wanted to perform, na? Therefore they made so many attempts. And therefore again and again King Indra came and caused obstruction. So here Lord is saying, become freed from the bodily identification. Addiction means both bodily demands and mental desires. Yeah, and it's been called as illusion. So Prabhupada has a beautiful point in the purport. There are two types of activities of the body which are said to be illusory. First, third line. In the bodily conception, when we think that sense gratification will help us, the illusion. That is first. Second is, another illusion is to think that one will become happy by trying to satisfy the desires that arise from the illusory body by attaining elevation to the higher planetary systems or by performing various types of Vedic ritual. This is all illusion, like this. And then Prabhupada talks about humanitarian tasks. These all are illusions like that. And then here, very interesting, Prabhupada quotes Traigunya Vishaya Veda Shloka in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The goal of Vedic knowledge is to transcend the modes of material nature. Prabhupada explains that in the last paragraph. The ritualistic performances recommended in the Vedas mainly depend on the three modes of material nature. All of that are under the three modes of material nature. Consequently, Arjuna was advised to transcend the Vedic activities. And therefore, Krishna concludes Bhagavad Gita with Sarva Dharman Paritya. Give up everything. Do what? Take night shelter alone. To transcend the activities Arjuna was advised to perform were the transcendental activities of devotional service. That's the idea of freedom from bodily addiction. So, text number 6, Vishnu says, and yeah. So, freedom from bodily addiction, correct. So, what is the practical application? In personal life. So, how can you give up your bodily addiction? Which means following our morning duties and morning programs sincerely. You know, of course, we may fail once in a while. Again, we try. Again, we try. That's the idea. We are able to fight with our tamoguna, our gross ignorance, the way our mind, body wants to dictate. And actually, for those of us who are staying together, and same true holds true for the family life also, it is our sacred responsibility towards each other to help each other. I have said this many times. Just like we say that when we're doing japat, do it together. And if in case somebody is overwhelmed by ignorance, don't just be so absorbed in your devotional practice that you allow your devotee next to you to continue in ignorance. You're supposed to gently tap him, help him wake up, isn't it? That's called as your friendship toward that person. And what should be my attitude when I've been woken up from my slumber or from my ignorance? I should be grateful if you are at all sincere about devotional life. Similarly, if we find our devotee friends sleeping, so many times I've said this, if you're woken up, help the devotee wake up. At least switch off the fan for God's sake. So at least he will feel a little bodily inconvenience. He'll begin to get up. Many of you don't do that. I don't know why. Maybe the person who's sleeping in the room just want to continue to be like that. And if that is the case, then you bring it to my attention. Then we have to take an action for that person. You can't be sleeping like a whole day and then come and eat 3 times prasadam, 4 times prasadam, enjoy your life. What is this? Does it make sense? At least you should yourself be shameful. When you're making that repeated mistake, at least I should voluntarily perform tapasya. Why? Because I'm eating too much, because of which I'm sleeping too much. I have no control. Enough is enough. I'm going to fast now. That shows you have some level of sincerity. No regret, nothing. On top of it, we are also not helping that Vaishnava. We just allow him, we wake up, we get up, we do our thing. Of course, we have made a system here in our forum. If you're sleeping late, post the message on the group. And if you know that your devotee friend has slept late, all right, let's not disturb because we want to have 6 hours of sleep. so that you can function the rest of the day. But if you know that, there were no reason for him, then it is your sacred duty to him to wake him up. Switch on the light, switch off the fan. Because just allowing him to continue sleeping, you're just, kind of promoting bodily consciousness around. And do you think you will remain protected? You'll also get influenced. How many of you notice if our bed is not folded when we wake up in the morning, and if our bedding is like that lying in the room, whenever you enter the room, there is a sense of desire to sleep, sense of sleepiness. So if you have a room partner like that, who is acting like this, do you think you can maintain your standards? It won't work. You'll get affected. Maybe it's a matter of time. You're thinking, no, nothing will happen. It's a matter of time you'll get affected. For your own protection and for his spiritual health. What kind of spiritual well-being and health would he have? Okay, once in a while, somebody, because we are under the motion of matter nature, he's in bodily consciousness, he's in ignorance, we should wake him up. Why do you want to allow that? This is a sacred duty that we all have towards each other, same in the family life. So don't be, aloof like that, not caring for each other. It won't work out because it's going to bounce back and affect you. It's going to, say, return back, bounce back and affect you only in your devotional life. So take care of that. So it's not good to continue allow our devotees in ignorance. For whatever reason, he may be struggling, help him. Wake him up. Text number 6. How can a highly learned person who has absolutely no affinity for the bodily conception life be affected by the bodily conception in regard to house, children, wealth, and similar other bodily production? So why Lord is telling this to Prithu? Why Prithu was performing yajna? Because he wanted blessings for his praja. And now Vishnu is saying, Arey, what are you doing? You've already done your duty as a king. There is enough blessing, but still you want to continue? That is a sign of bodily identification. That's the point that's mentioned here. Beautiful purport. The Vedic ritualistic ceremonies are certainly meant to please the Lord. However, such activity one does not actually satisfy the Lord. They're meant to be, but that does not satisfy the Lord. As I said in the beginning, there are going to be some beautiful insights. What actually pleases Krishna? Rather, with the sanction of the Lord, one tries to satisfy one's own senses. One's own senses. So rather, with the sanction of the Lord, one tries to satisfy one's own senses. One classic example, prasadam. I mean, it's actually meant for us only, in entirety. There is nothing meant for Vishnu or Krishna. So that has been turned into a yajna. So that yajna shishta shanha shanto muchante sarva kilpishaha. So that what we get becomes purified. So that I become purified. And my senses are gratified. I mean, it's a ground reality. Therefore, Prabhupada said, I have come to stop your sleeping, eating, mating, defending. And the disciple was shocked. Prabhupada, stop? Yes, completely stop. But to stop that in the sense, first it has to get purified. So we can be proud that I'm eating Krishna Prasad. So that's okay. But Prabhupada saying these all things does not necessarily satisfy Krishna. Of course, the Lord is happy to see that we are eating Krishna Prasad. Rather, with the sanction of the Lord, one tries to satisfy one's own. So that is why the sadhana bhakti, right? Under sanction. So we are trying to balance out. We are trying to satisfy our senses only. In other words, materialists who are especially interested in sense gratification are given permission license to enjoy sense gratification by executing Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. That is called Traigunya Vishaya Veda. And then Prabhupada says in the last one, rather they are interested in the higher duties of transcendental. So those who are advanced, what is their ambition? They are interested in the higher duties of transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such devotional service is called Nistrai Gunya. Devotional service to the Lord has nothing to do with the material conception of bodily comfort. For an example, I have seen this in our DT kitchen also here, and some of us used to follow back in America also when we were serving in DTs. So the cook, when he would prepare bhoga for the Lord, Mahaprasad. Mahaprasad is a special mercy. Generally, we treat it as a special mercy. But generally, the cook who cooked it and the pujari who offered it, generally, in true sense, they themselves will not honor it. Now, why should you not honor it? You are saying no to Mahaprasad? Why don't you accept Mahaprasad? Generally, they will not themselves accept it. What could be the reason? Yes.
So that they would not prepare with the consciousness that it is for my enjoyment after the Lord is.
That's the whole idea. I mean, now the cook is cooking very nice bhoga. Why? Ultimately, तो मेरे पास ही प्लेट आनी है. No, this is such a. You see the difference in seriousness now, sincerity. I have seen people who do like this and then they fight for Mahaprasadam. Then it's ritual. See, I have been saying all this while. We all have to create our own strategy to grow. There are straightforward instructions, but are we consciously doing it? Similarly, Pujari may offer it with all diligence. Sometimes what happens, there is a last minute call to Pujari. Oh, some Pujari is not there has to be noon aarti, has to be done, and Bhoga. Now you can do it as a surrender, as a service, or you can do it, oh great, I'm going to get the whole plate of Mahaprasadam, Raj Bhog. So you see the difference in the practice of devotional life now here? So the whole sincere effort for cooking. The one classic example that I saw was in London, in Bhaktivedanta Manor. So that was Friday morning, I had a Bhagavatam class, I gave a class, and one of the very senior Mataji, she sent some special Mahaprasadam for me. And when I went to the Prasadam hall, what happened after the class, there were many question answers. There were many devotees were talking. So I got considerably late, along with the group of devotees who were there. By the time we reached, that Friday morning, they had cooked some special prasadam. There was some sandwich, cheese sandwich or something. So you can imagine it would be a big hit item for that kind of audience. By the time we reached, all cheese sandwich was over. Nothing was there. No cheese, no wrappers even. Nothing was there. Everything was over. So I remember this devotee brought this Mahaprasadam and kind of distributed among herself, and it was very delicious. I asked him who sent it. He said, I'll introduce you to who sent it. So while I was coming back, there was this small ladies' ashram where on the ground floor, almost 80 plus year old devotee, Mataji, who has been serving Bhaktivedanta from the beginning. He introduced me, and I said, Mataji, this was so delicious. So she kind of cooks almost on every day. It was a baked item, kind of a cake, kind of a thing. And the devotee told me, Prabhu, although her recipes are world famous, but she herself have never tasted it. She prepares, so she said, what she gave you is what the pujari gave her to have it. So she gets it and she gave it to you because you're visiting guest. And I said, so does she honor herself? He said, she hardly eats herself. She always distributes. And I felt so inspired. And you see the quality and difference here? So, although we may be doing bhakti, it may look like under the realm of bhakti, but there are gradations of bhakti also. So, that's the point been mentioned here. Rather, they are interested in the higher duties of transcendental loving service to the Lord. Such devotional service is called Nistraik. Okay. Devotional service to the Lord has nothing to do with material conception of bodily comfort. I repeat, devotional service to the Lord has nothing to do with the material conception, material comfort, material pleasure, material gratification. I just give you one example. Of course, we should not imitate, but we can try to practice a little bit in our capacity. Text number 7. So this was text number 6. Did I give that title for it? No. All right. Text number, this 6 and 7 is all part of the same thing, transcending freedom from bodily attachment. 5th, 6th, and 7th. Text number 7 now. The individual soul is one, pure, non-material, and self-effulgent. He is the reservoir of all good qualities, and he is all-pervading. He is without material covering, and he is the witness of all activities. He is completely distinguished from other living entities, and is transcendental to all the embodied souls. So about the soul being all pure has been talked about it. In the purport, Prabhupada writes some important things. Can I get a charger from my laptop? Or it's charged. In the middle of the paragraph, you will see Sagun and Nirgun. The living entity being contaminated with the modes of material nature are called saguna, whereas the Paramatma is called nirguna. Then again, there is something called as guna ashrita, which means the living entities who are engaged in material qualities are called guna ashrita. And then there is something called as guna ashraya, whereas the Supreme Personality Godhead is called guna ashraya, one who gives shelter to guna. And guna ashrita is the living entities who take shelter, which means three modes of material nature. Like that. Text number 8. Yeah. Although within the material nature, one who is thus situated in full knowledge of the Paramatma and Atma is never affected by the modes of material nature, for is always situated in my transcendental loving service. So, transcendental service. In other words, two things are mentioned here. Although within the material nature, one is just situated in the full knowledge of the Paramatma, is never affected, for is always situated in my transcendental loving service. Which means the way to become freed from the bodily consciousness is being engaged in devotional service. So if you engage in devotional service, then we can rise above our bodily consciousness. To be engaged in devotional service, first we have to see it as seva, not as karma. Karma means work. When you see your devotional activities, when you see the services that you have to render as work, I work so much, I do so much work. If that is the attitude you would have towards the service, it is not service. Although you're doing it, you will not get any benefit because you don't see it as a service. Service which is meant to please. And service, as the last verse said, the purpose right in the previous 6 verse purport, devotional service to the Lord has nothing to do with the material conception of material comfort. So if you're trying to render devotional service and you're bringing the aspect of bodily comfort, it does not go well together. So it does not go well. That's the idea. So how do we rise above it? When we engage in devotional service. So everything in our personal life, whatever we do within our house, everything has to be seen like the food we eat. So this is the basic things that Prabhupada speaks about in Bhagavad Gita. We should do it, offer it to the Lord. And in spiritual life, every activity that we do, we should see it as a offering. So somehow we have to rise above this whole idea. Even being in renounced order, I am doing work. That kind of a thing. This is all signs of our bodily consciousness. So that's the point of text number 8. So transcendental devotional service helps us transcend bodily attachments. Text number 9. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, continued, My dear King Prithu, when one is situated in his occupational duty, engages in my loving service without motive for material gain, and he gradually becomes very satisfied within. Are you able to see beautiful flow here? So what Krishna is saying, first give up bodily attachments. By devotional service, you can give body attachments. And satisfaction comes from service only. Because everyone is looking for ananda. And that comes from service. The Supreme Personality Godhead said, My dear King Prithu, when one is situated in his occupational duty, engages in my loving devotion service, without motive for material gain, he gradually becomes very satisfied within. So through devotional service, you become satisfied. Because we have a wrong understanding about how we'll become satisfied. We'll become satisfied when we can control people, when we'll be successful and all that. No. By performing devotional service. Now, question can be asked here, hey, wait a second. Aren't this instruction meant for Indra? Who do you think need to hear this instruction? Prithu Maharaj or Indra? Who needs to hear this instruction more? Prithu Maharaj or Indra? How many will say Indra deserved to hear this more? Raise your hand. Our online audience. Because Prithu Maharaj was defending. It was Indra who was attacking. I mean, if somebody would steal, you will definitely do something, na? So Prithu is not so much at mistake. Indra is at mistake. So why Lord is telling all this into Prithu Maharaj? Why Lord is telling all this to Prithu Maharaj? Hey, wait a second. I didn't do. Indra did. Tell Indra. Brahma came and told me. You also coming and telling me. Only Atri Muni was supporting me. Kill Indra. You know? So the more transcendental authorities are becoming, their instructions are becoming more and more far out. And you are, from Atri Muni point of view, Indra is wrong. Brahmaji is more transcendental. From Brahmaji's point of view, I am wrong. And Vishnu is coming and giving upadesh to me. Prathu, give up your bodily attachment. Where am I body attached? What am I doing? I'm trying to do it as a service. This is the height of it. I mean, I didn't brought that point, but if you look at it, these are the instructions. So, what are your thoughts? So, daughter-in-law doesn't feel bad. That's the idea. Okay. So, a very important principle. The one who is more surrender has to be ready to receive more chastisement. The idea is, not I would say more surrender, the one who is more dear has to be ready to receive more chastisement. When Prabhupada gave an example of the mother-in-law teaches daughter-in-law through her own daughter. The daughter is more dear than the daughter-in-law. So she chastises the daughter, hoping that daughter-in-law will understand. She doesn't have much affection for. See, who would you chastise? Who would you chastise? Not chastise. Who would you correct? Who would you correct? Who you have affection for? Who you really want to grow? If you have affection for somebody, that person only will correct, na? Because you want that person to grow, that person to become better. Otherwise, who cares? Otherwise, everyone wants to laugh at others' failure. So, who you care is who you gonna correct. Now, from Vishnu's point of view, he cared for both for Indra and Prathu. But by instructing Prathu, he is showcasing his love for Prathu more than Indra. Are you getting this? So when we get it, as a receiver, we may have all this our mental idea, why am I being criticized, why I'm being corrected? But actually that is done out of love to help you become more refined and for others to learn. Why? Because Vishnu had to tell Indra, I'm assuming, I'm hypothesizing. Vishnu had to tell Indra, Brahma had to tell Indra, stop, let Prathu do his 100 sacrifice. And Vishnu would have to come and tell Indra, don't you know what are the side effects of envy? Something like that. Indra may not have understood. And we already discussed the point. One who is insecure, do not act with him in such a way that he become more insecure. So here, if Vishnu and Brahma would have chastised Indra, he would have become more insecure. And what would have happened? The whole arrangement would have got disturbed. So therefore, Brahma chose whom to correct? Prathu Maharaj. Because he was expected to be more sober and more mature. Therefore, if he is sober and mature, he can receive more corrections. Similarly, Vishnu is coming and telling, which shows their confidence on Prathu to be more than Indra. Are you getting this? Which means from their point of view, between Prathu and Indra, who is more dear to them? Prathu is more dear. So when you get chastised and corrected from that point of view, don't see it as an envy and all that. So I have oftentimes from the last few sections we've been discussing about leadership, how to see leadership, and I've seen this many times. For example, let's say my spiritual master, he would not say anything to anyone, but if he gets onto the case, he'll get onto the case of some people. Now, when he's getting onto the case of some people, what does it mean? He naturally has more affection for them. He wants them to grow, become better person. And therefore, for others, he says, okay, you want instruction? Here, my class, there's an instruction for you. You see that? It's like a Paramatma role for others. I'm equipoised. I'm not going to come and tell you what is right and wrong. But for others, he catches, no, do this, do that. What it means? There's a more affection. And unfortunately, in our contaminated state, we misunderstand that affection as, Are, you have given freedom to him to act whatever you do. And to me, you're dictating terms how to act. So the more conditioned we are, we will consider that as an opportune situation and this as a punishment. Yes or no? But actually, from the spiritual point of view, what is a bigger opportunity? to get corrected, not to get this message, do as you want to do. Or I have told, hear my class, which means this person does not have faith on you. Therefore, is saying like that. And to receive correction is actually, which means the person has faith in you that you could receive correction. And plus, not only faith, he really want you, even faith or not, but he really wanted to grow. That's the idea why Prathu has been taught here. Text number 10, although he is not at fault. Text number 10. The title for this, text number 9 is, satisfaction through service. Text number 10 now. Pratiyakta gunha samyak darshano vishadashayah shanti me samavasthanam brahma kaivalyam ashnute. So, become freed from bodily attachment. Through devotional service, you can transcend bodily attachment. In devotional service, you find satisfaction, and through devotional service, your heart will become purified. Text number 10, translation. When the heart is cleansed of all material contamination, the devotee's mind becomes broader and transparent, and he can see things equally. At that stage of life, there is peace, and one is situated equally with me as Sachid Ananda Vigraha. You got the process of how heart becomes purified. So remember, yesterday I was making a point. There was somebody who did a very abominable act. The committee was set up to investigate. They found out that yes, he has done that abominable act. And the message was, the committee brought his verdict to the spiritual master. And spiritual master began to think, oh, this devotee have rendered so many devotional service for so long, etc. And he did not talk about punishment at all. He said, all right, this person should be removed from this place. Of course, if he's in brahmachari, he should be asked to change and send him somewhere else to engage in devotional service. And this committee was thinking he would be publicly boycotted, he will be punished, spiritual master will come, catch a shikha, give him tight 4 or 5 slaps and whatnot. They were becoming so. But it was altogether different. So somebody who's acting at this platform and the heart is cleansed of all material contamination. The devotee's mind becomes broader and transparent. Somebody who is narrow-minded cannot understand the decision made from the point of view of broader mindset. So therefore, somewhere we have to say yes, because we cannot accept everything. Just like people challenge, hey, Prabhupada knew past, present, future. Why did Prabhupada give sannyas to people who you knew were going to fall down? Now we can debate on so many things, what Prabhupada said, Prabhupada did and all that. But what is the point of debating at our point? Because we cannot understand the perspective and the level from where he was working. So therefore, who is said to be faithful? Faithful is that who understands the glories of Prabhupada and he just follows. Not argues, not debates. Just like somebody said, anyone told me recently, I find Prabhupada to be so biased. Why only he has to say females are into sense gratification? Actually, there should be some lines about men also. How many lines have you read that you are saying Prabhupada have not written about men? So you see, the more narrow-minded, we are so quick to judge. That's the whole idea about it. So broader. How do you become broader? Through devotional service. Now text number 11. Translation. These are all instructions, so we're just summarizing the instruction here. Anyone who knows that this material body made of the 5 gross elements, the sense organs, the working sense, and the mind is simply supervised by the fixed soul is eligible to be liberated from material bondage. Yeah. So text number 11, like that. So what is the goal or destination for the purified soul? He eventually becomes liberated from material bondage. That's the whole idea about it. So to be able to do that, we have to strictly follow devotional service. Prabhupada has beautiful purport here. The soul, third line, the soul, let's read from the second line. The first point is that one must know the soul is different from its body. The soul is called Dehi, or one who possesses the body, and the mental body is called Deha, or the embodiment of the soul. The body is changing at every moment, but the soul is fixed. Therefore, the soul is called Kutastha. The last few lines of the purport. Even though one is sometimes absorbed in such external movements, he has to learn to tolerate them. The living entity should be always indifferent to the action reaction of the external body. Sometimes we have to learn to tolerate our drowsiness, our sleep, and whatnot. It may ask us to sleep extra. Sometimes we have to take care, and sometimes we have to tolerate. So tolerance has many level of application like that. So that's the whole point. Beautiful puppet. You can go ahead. Another thing, Prabhupada writes, we have to be indifferent to the action and reaction, which happens through our bodily engagement. Text number 12. Lord Vishnu told King Prithu, my dear king, the constant change of this material world is due to the interaction of the three modes of material nature. The five elements, the senses, and the devatas, who control the senses as well as the mind, which is agitated by the spirit soul. All these taken together comprise the body. Since the spirit soul is completely different from this combination of gross and subtle material elements, my devotees who is connected with me in intense friendship and affection being completely in knowledge is never agitated by material happiness and distress. So, how to rise above the duality? Again, we have to have a transcendental vision. So, Lord says, my devotee who is connected with me in intense friendship and affection, being completely in knowledge, is never agitated by material happiness and distress. I mean, it's a very difficult thing, at least for a sadhaka, because we are not in that situation of relationship with the Lord. Uh, you know, both in the personal life, we can have health issues, we can have relationship issues. On the professional front, there's always a job insecurity and whatnot. And in spiritual life also, at times we may not be happy and satisfied with how the morning program is going, how our reading and hearing is going. On top of it, we have our own plans we make. We want this to happen. Maybe we have a plan for our personal well-being to do exercise daily for 30 minutes. And probably for last 3 years, it has not happened even once. That could be building up as a frustrating experience like this. And then, and the professional front, maybe you want some promotion, maybe you want some hike, it's needed for service and needed for, taking a family, but it isn't happening, etc. Similarly, in spiritual front, you feel like you're stuck, you're not growing. Now you had certain desire, but that seems not getting fulfilled. Who is here will not be agitated. Everyone will be agitated. But Krishna is saying here, my devotee is connected with me in intense friendship action, being completely, is never agitated by such dualities. So my question is, when we are going through such dualities, as a sadhaka, what is the way out? We are affected, we are agitated, or we are super excited because something good has happened, or we are disturbed because things are not going the way I wanted it. So how to maintain equanimity? We don't have that capacity because we don't have that level of relation with the Lord where we can do that. So at the level of sadhaka, how can we fix it? What is the solution? Yes, Parjan. Anyone online? Anyone online wants to reflect? Yeah, please go ahead.
This shall too pass.
Huh?
This shall will pass.
Yeah, but when you're in that situation, it's good to teach others. When you're into that situation, this statement also will not come to your memory. So you are into that situation. What will you do? You can have the ring like the king. Say, thus shall too pass. We'll take out the ring and say, बाद में देखूंगा. अभी नहीं. What else? Yes, nearest Prabhu. How would you transcend? Mother Poonam says correct. The only solution is seek guidance. Somebody who is more intimately connected, or somebody who is out of the box. So he can lift our consciousness and help us see the broader picture. Like Prathuma has been brought up by the instruction of Vishnu here. So this is yet another example of how helpless we are. And the life beats us down again and again. How important it is for us to work under guidance. And we have already discussed who is qualified to receive guidance. Remember we had discussed that? Who would you like to give guidance? What was the thing? What are the things needed in the person who you like to give guidance? who are you willing to give guidance? What are the things would you look into that person? Who is dedicated, who is obedient? Surrender बहुत heavy word है, थोड़ा more practical बोलो. Surrender में सब कुछ आ जाता है. He has some sincerity, he has some dedication, he has some obedience. What else? Discipline, a submissive kind of a thing. Similarly, unless we are in our relationship, don't expect guidance. Simple rule. Simple rule. Because that's what you will expect. See, we are seeing some surrender. Krishna says 100% surrender. वो इतना मांगते हैं. At least हमें थोड़ा तो दिखाना पड़ेगा. Otherwise, how would you grow? It's not possible. And let's come to 13th verse. Maybe otherwise I'll pause at 13th verse today. It's a beautiful verse. Samaha samanottama madhya adamaha sukhe cha dukhe cha jitendriyashaya mayopakalpa akila loka samyuto vidasvavirakhila loka rakshanam. Very important verse. Translation. So here Vishnu is asking Prithu Maharaj to be equipoised and offer equal treatment to all. Don't do partiality, don't see disparity. Be equipoised and equal treatment for all. My dear heroic king, please keep yourself always equipoised and treat people equally, whether they are greater than you in the intermediate stage or lower than you. I mean, please don't see from the point of view you serving a Mahatma. This is for a king. So be equipoised, and that's the way it's mentioned, okay? Not that you start treating Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama equally. That's not the instruction. That's the first thing. Be equipoised and treat people equally. Second, do not be disturbed by the temporary distresses or happiness. Disturb means again, mentally agitated. Third, fully control your mind and senses. And fourth, try to execute your duty as king in whatever condition of life you may be posted by my arrangement. And fifth, and this is the climax. This is the climax. For your only duty here is to give protection to the citizens of your kingdom. So there are 5 things. All of you noted that? Got it? Highlighted here. Please keep yourself equipoised, equal to all. Do not be disturbed by temporary distress or happiness. Fully control your mind and senses. And whatever condition life you may be posted by my arrangement, accept it and execute your duty as a king. That's the 4th instruction. Why? For your only duty here is to give protection to the citizens of your kingdom. It's a fantastic purport. I would say read it as a homework for yourself. So what is Vishnu trying to say here? Let me give you a scenario. Let's see if you connect to it. Maybe most of you may not have that experience, but let's see if some of you have that experience. Any of you, verse is done, Prabhu. Yeah. Any one of you have an experience in the following way, which I'm about to explain. Imagine you received a call or somebody came and talked to you saying that, Prabhu, उस भक्त ने ऐसा कह दिया, प्रभु उस परिवार के सदस्य ने ऐसा कह दिया, ऐसा कह दिया, अगर उन्होंने ऐसा कह दिया, वैसा कर दिया, I will not do what I'm doing, etc., etc. And then you're listening the whole thing and you're thinking, relax. Don't worry too much about what's happening, what others are doing. I'm there with you. Please continue performing your duty or service. Don't get so agitated. Somehow that person is so agitated, the services or activity that he is not able to function because his mind is overwhelmed by all kind of fear and insecurity. From your point of view, you're saying, relax, there's nothing. We'll see what will happen. But please continue to perform your service. Anyone have had that experience kind of a thing? Because maybe as a leader we get that experience. That's what Vishnu is telling here. For example, just the other day I received a call. One of the devotees was serving under me in one of the projects. And he's like, Prabhu, If this devotee gets involved in our service, I would leave the service. Prabhu, if they say anything to this, I would leave the service. Prabhu, I can only work with you. Prabhu, this and that. I said, okay, okay, okay. Then I said, Prabhu, let's do one thing. I'm there with you and you continue. When anything will happen, we'll see. Why are you making so much hue and cry right now? Similarly, if you see, Vishnu is telling Prithu Maharaj, why are you making so much hue and cry? The only purpose of your life is your only duty. Your only duty here is to give protection to the citizens of your kingdom. Now, anything and everything else, I should do the 100th yajna. These are all your ideas. Whose ideas? These all are your ideas. What I expect from you is to give protection to the citizen of your kingdom, which you are doing very nicely. For that, you don't need 100th yajna. That is already accomplished even in one Ashmedh yajna. 98 were also superfluous. You wanted to do it, I have no problem. But it was your desire. So similarly, we come across a situation. So therefore, we need such advice and guidance where they can pull us out and remind us what is the purpose of our activity. Don't get caught up. In other words, this verse Vishnu is saying precisely, don't be mental. Don't be. And for us, it is just so common to become mental in course of our activities because we are under the control of the modes of material nature. So therefore, at times, whatever we do, we need, regular guidance so that we can align ourselves and we don't get too much distracted and caught up. I can say even for me, searching out land and all that, yesterday was a frustrating experience. After all the plans were made, then I got to know there is no any land in whole of Injewadi. There are only two kinds of land available in Injewadi. Whole hours and hours I spent on with architect meeting, with the lawyer meeting, what not. I did it in the last couple of days, non-stop working on it. And then finally I got to know there's not even a single any land in whole of Pinjewadi which we can purchase. Either the land is MIDC or the agriculture. And I remember, I don't know if you observed how frustrated I was when that conversation was going on. मैंने कहा यार ये पहले दिन ही बता देते मैं इतना सब प्लानिंग करके इतना सब मैं लास्ट मिनट पे स्केड्यूल एडजस्ट करके इतना सब कुछ मैंने घंटे घंटे मीटिंग करी किन किन लोगों से मीटिंग नहीं करी मैं कितने लोगों से कॉल पे लगा हुआ हूँ क्या क्या नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैंने सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स बना दिए सब कुछ कर दिए अभी पता चलता है कोई लैंड ही नहीं अभी कर परचेज सो देन आई कॉल्ड अप one of my senior so he had to give me a vision he had to calm me down okay I said, Prabhu, what is going on all this effort is wasted. I was not so agitated I was just taking guidance on which land to pick up now because anyways I've made my mind we're gonna go and purchase because agricultural land only let's go ahead maybe we'll build up something later on so then I was discussing which one to do because I don't want to make a decision because when you're affected now you really can't be in the best situation to make decision. Therefore, you have to have somebody you can always consult. So in these areas, you might have seen I was calling few people. The moment I feel I'm a little bit getting affected, then I back off from decision making. I immediately call. So one of the senior, I would have called him 4-5 times. And I was thinking, he was thinking, yaar, ye kya hai mujhe baar pareshan kar raha hai? But fortunately, he picked up the call, and every time he picked up the call, I said, oh, this is a situation, this is a situation. Okay, so we discussed back and forth. So this is something we need. How much ever you grow in Krishna consciousness, when you're going to deal with material energy, you're going to get disturbed. Then there has to be somebody who aligns you back, who helps you making the right decision like that. Please, I believe I often emphasize this, always work in a team spirit, work in as a team, don't make decisions by ourselves, and always work in guidance. That will be a better way of functioning and more safer way. For example, at one point of time, we decided, all right, we were just discussing ourselves. In fact, he was the one who was pushing. Are Prabhu, there is so much illegal construction. What is the problem if we do illegal construction? He was kind of literally pushing me again and again. Are ho jayega, everything gets accepted. Delhi mein hua hai, Bombay. For hours together, he was giving me sermon like this. So I was thinking, hi, yaar, kar sakte, what's the problem with the sea and all that? But again, I'm not going to make a decision. So again, I called up. I said, Prabhu, for this reason, I also called up. I said, Prabhu, this is what is being said by some of our devotees here. What do you suggest? Immediately I was told, Prabhu, not at all. because there is always a risk. I said, thank you, I got it. I said, no, we're not doing it. Period. We are not doing it. I'm not discussing it now. I mean, you see how simple it becomes? Imagine if I didn't have that and I have to deal with him. I would be so frustrated by the time we came back. After spending, he and I would have spent some time behind the scene. I've been putting so many hours dealing with different kind of shortlisting an architect, dealing with different architects, seeing what they say and all that. Fixing a lawyer. So many things has to be done for this. So I was like, okay, chill. So, I just went through that experience. So the point is, in such situation, when you're dealing with material life, so many things will happen. My humble suggestion is there should be somebody with whom you can consult and discuss and make decision. Well, what is there choice right? We don't know. But at least in an agitated state, we should not make a decision because that becomes gambling. I can debate and argue. For example, he said, see, which is true. When I put his point forward again, the devotee said, it is true that there are all illegal construction in Jawadi, but I don't want to become that case to set an example for others. If the government has to come, bring the JCB and break down someone's building, just to set an example. I don't want to be that example where they pick up my building and break it down. Even if it has a 1% probability of risk, you lose all your investment. Chapter over, no more discussion. So I felt that's a very essential thing. Some of we have to cultivate. So the younger we are, the neophytes we are, the more independent we want to act. Because we come from that background, independent activity. We want to be independent. And we keep on struggling with our decision choices. Of course, he said 99% may not happen, 1%. So which means that 1% may not also happen. But you have to make some decision on something, na? So you have to weigh your options. If you imagine if that kind of conversation is not there, if I have to make all the decision based on me and based on what devotees around me saying, how complicated we can become. So that's the point here. So how do we pull out ourselves from this state of mental agitation things? By having somebody pull us out externally. So these are some of the things, instructions. There are 3 more instructions, 14, 15, 16. We'll see that tomorrow. And then Prathumaj will offer prayer. We'll try to study this time prayers also briefly. Tomorrow is Friday or today is Friday? So tomorrow is Friday. So, okay, then it will be a huge break because next week I'm not there for some part of the week. So, fine. We'll try to cover this chapter tomorrow. All right, so I'll pause here. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Any questions, any comments? So class is officially ended. Those who wish to leave, they can. We'll take one quick question. Madam Medhavani, go ahead. Oh, fantastic, mother. Thank you so much. I'll just read out. We trouble our seniors so much that I feel guilty about it. Okay. I feel guilt disturbance in some where do we draw the line so that we don't trouble our seniors with our problems? Prabhu. Yeah, so we have to grow up so that you don't trouble them so much. We can't keep asking the same question again and again. And why we trouble them? Because we are not following their advice. Because we don't want to change our position. We are attached to our position. Therefore, we keep coming back with the same problem again and again.